Hi folks, thanks for joining me on another Relive the Music video. So this one is my review of the Wasp gig that I went to at the O2 Academy in Glasgow on Friday the 25th of July. And in the review I'll talk about the venue, the ticket cost, the merchandise, the support band or lack thereof, and then the set list, and then I'll finish by giving you my final thoughts on the gig. So my name's Ricky and welcome to my channel, Relive the Music. Okay, so I'd been excited for this show for a couple of weeks because they actually had the lettering outside in the building up for that length of time. There was obviously no other gigs in between. So each time I was going into work I could keep seeing the Wasp up there. So on the day of the gig, I was actually just mucking about, scrolling through Facebook, and I saw an announcement saying, "Warning, there is no support. This is going to be an early show. The band is going to be performing between 8 and 10 o'clock. So that kind of threw my plans into jeopardy a wee bit. I was just going to get the bus in and have a few drinks, but due to the timing of this, I ended up just driving. So I got there just about 7:45. And there wasn't really much of a queue. I just sort of queued for a minute or so to get inside. So the cost of the ticket for this show was just under £50. I think it was about £46.50 plus fees, so yeah, it would have been about £50 or so. Okay, so once inside the venue, I went to check out the merchandise because it's just on the left-hand side when you go through the doors. So I was pleasantly surprised that they actually had quite a vast array of different t-shirts that you could buy. So I'd tried to buy a Wasp t-shirt beforehand for this gig, but I couldn't really see any decent ones online. I've only ever actually owned one Wasp t-shirt, and that was a hand-me-down from my next door neighbour about 30 years ago. It was the Inside the Electric Circus one with Blackie inside the cage. So I was like that, tempted, so well, what will I get here? So I gave it some thought and I held off for the time being. So they were £40 to buy, and I think the hoodie was about £75. And I did actually see quite a lot of people wearing the t-shirts. The one that seemed to be the most popular was the one with the first album cover on it. And then in the back it said Album 1 Alive, and it had all the tour dates. But yeah, £40 for your t-shirt. Okay, once I left the merchandise bit, I made my way downstairs to get into position for Wasp coming on, and I actually was just kind of left of centre and not a bad spot. So it wasn't actually that busy. Like, I've seen it loads busier in there. Like, normally you're kind of like going like that trying to get past people, but it was still quite quiet even at 10 to 8. So the upstairs bit wasn't open, so that was obviously due to poor sales, because the last couple of times that I've been at the O2 Academy I've actually had the balcony booth standing section, but I wondered when it wasn't available, and then I couldn't see any balcony bit, so yeah, it was just the downstairs bit that was open. So it was quite disappointing that it wasn't like totally packed down there. So I thought, well, I want to actually try and film some of this because I don't actually have any Wasp footage, and this would have been the 9th time that I was seeing Wasp. So I actually made my way over to the left hand side for a couple of reasons, and I stood against the wall. One, I knew that that's where the exits were, and if it was going to get hot they would probably open that door. And secondly, I was away over at the side against the wall, so when I did want to record some films I wasn't in anybody's way and I could get a perfect shot, albeit it was a wee bit from the side. So if you are looking to see what the band sounded like on this show, then I'd have about 30 minutes worth of footage. I've got about 5 or 6 songs from the gig, so that's up there already, so go and check it out if you haven't already done so. Okay, around about 5 minutes to 8, we actually got an announcement over the tannoy saying, please note that there is to be no crowd surfing at the concert tonight, and if you do this then you'll be ejected from the gig. So that took a few people by surprise, and I have actually read in a comment, somebody commented on my gig footage that apparently that was a request of the band itself. I thought that might have been due to the O2 Academy because due to staffing, but apparently it was down to the band's request. Now, having a look around, I don't really think it looked like the type of crowd that were going to be crowd surfing anyway. Most of the crowd was generally older, people that would have seen Wasp, in the early 80s and 90s. But yeah, that's the first time I've kind of heard that at a gig before. Okay, so the sounding at O2 Academy was good, I thought, and I didn't actually think it was that loud, so I had taken my earplugs out during I Wanna Be Somebody, and I kept them out for the duration of the show. However, when I got back to my car afterwards, and when I tried to go to sleep, and even when I woke up the next day, I could still kind of hear a ringing in my ears. So I note to self to keep wearing them. So these were the ones that I'll wear here, and you get 2 sets of the earplugs in them. So I'll leave a link in the description below. Definitely worth checking out, guys. So the lights went dark about 8 o'clock, and we were treated to a sort of 2 or 3 minute intro, a medley of different Wasp songs in the background. So about 8:05, the band came on stage and they kicked off and went straight into I Wanna Be Somebody. So quite unusual hearing that song as the first song because, like Blackie said himself later on when he was talking to the audience, that they always open up with On Your Knees. So yeah, a refreshing change to hear that, and it was a good one to open the show with. So obviously they were playing the first album in chronological order. So you had I Wanna Be Somebody, and then we went into Love Machine, and then The Flame. Then we got Bad, School Days, Hellion, Sleeping in the Fire, On Your Knees, Tormentor, and The Torture Never Stops. So I'll be honest, I think that this totally flew in. It was 45 or 50 minutes worth for these 10 songs. And then after The Torture Never Stops, he says, right, thank you and good night. I looked about and you could see a few people were a bit shocked, thinking, is that it? Because there was no support, and then some people were thinking, that's it. Obviously, myself had looked at the set list beforehand just to see what other songs they were going to do, so I knew that they were coming back out for some other songs. So of the songs from the album, particular highlights for me were hearing I Wanna Be Somebody and Love Machine, and then I think Sleeping in the Fire was brilliant. Doug on the guitar solo at the end of that was just superb, and I wish I'd kind of filmed that because he pulled it off brilliantly, and I think everybody enjoyed that. Okay, so after the band went off, after The Torture Never Stops, there was about a 3-minute break just for them to catch their breath, and then we could hear the circus music and what would be the big welcome. And that led on to Inside the Electric Circus, which kicked off a sort of 6 or 7 minute medley of 3 songs from that album. So after Inside the Electric Circus, it went straight into I Don't Need No Doctor, and then it finished with Scream Till You Like It. So that was the highlight for me, because the first Wasp album that I'd ever bought was the Live in the Raw album, and it had Inside the Electric Circus, and then that change up into I Don't Need No Doctor. That was just brilliant, so hearing that live was excellent for me. So after that we were treated to another medley, and this was from the Headless Children album. So we got The Real Me, followed by Forever Free, finishing on The Headless Children, and this was a real treat, and the highlight for me from these 3 songs was actually Forever Free, and I did actually notice a lot of people bringing out their phones and filming that. So after that second medley finished, it quietened down a wee bit, and Blackie went up to the microphone stand and he did a wee sort of solo quiet number of Wild Child. Now I hadn't heard that before. I don't know if that's an extended intro part to it, but it's kind of like an acoustic part of Wild Child before it kicked in to the actual Wild Child song. So that was really good. And then the last song that they played was Blind in Texas, with Blackie giving it the usual, "I'm blind in Texas." Okay, so just in the band's performance, I thought they were excellent. I couldn't really fault the drummer. I didn't really notice any beats out of place. And Mike on bass was good. And also, like I'd mentioned earlier, Doug was excellent in guitar. Like, some of the solos in the songs pulled them off brilliantly, with the real highlight being Sleeping in the Fire, when he finished up going into a solo in that and then it fading out. Okay, so to Blackie's performance and vocals, I thought he was excellent. I thought he had a really strong voice from start to finish. Considering the man is 68 or 69 years of age, I actually think he sounded better at this gig than he did from like 10, 15 years ago when I'd saw them. And I can't really fault him. Like, he could still hit a lot of those high notes and he was still raucous at other points as well. So he didn't really speak to the crowd that much throughout the night. There was just sort of 2 or 3 times when he was talking about, you know, the chance to play this album and how they'd floated the idea with management and saying, you know, we want to do the first album, we might not ever get a chance to do this again. And he wanted to do the album and sort of change the order up, but said that the management insisted that they play it in chronological order, the way it was in the original album. And he gave in, and thankfully they did do it that way, and I think it turned out to be the right decision and it worked well on the night. So I actually think the whole thing was put together well. The fact that you had, you know, the album, they played that for 45, 50 minutes, came off, 2 cracking back-to-back melodies with 3 songs in each, and then finishing a couple of strong songs in Wild Child and I'm Blind in Texas. So I think that the crowd loved it as well. Everybody was singing along at points. There was a lot of hands in the air. And they got a really good, strong reception when they finished the end of the show. And I really enjoyed it. So, I mean, it finished at 9:25. I was actually up the road for like 9:45, which is unheard of for a gig. It was also noticeable throughout the entire show that they actually had videos on in the background. So they had some of the videos from some of the songs that they released, and they also had a mixture of live footage in the background as well. So that was pretty cool in the background, just having that and seeing what the band looked like 40 years ago. So I think I let the emotion of the gig get to me a wee bit. And when the gig finished, I was just thinking, wow, what a gig that was. That was excellent. And I was seeing all these people in the Wasp t-shirts and I had the fear of missing out. So I actually went to the merchandise bit and then I was caught in 2 minds. I'm like, oh, what t-shirt did I buy? What one? And I actually bought the 2. So the one that I'm wearing just now was pretty good because it was standout black with 43 in the back. But I also bought the one with the Wasp band cover that I talked about earlier with the gig dates in the back. So that was me, forked out £80. And then I'd just gone outside through the doors and the rip-off guys were like selling this stuff directly outside for, I don't know, it was probably going to be £20. I didn't want to hear what they were selling it for, but I did have a wee look and I don't think they did this one. Hopefully nobody's going to tell me they did and it was 20 quid. Like, I don't know whether these guys are part of the band and they sell it out there so that the venue doesn't take a cut, because I don't know how much the venue would take a cut for selling it for, but maybe that goes to the band, or I don't know how that works. If anyone has a clue, they can let me know in the comments. But anyway, I got my t-shirts and I was quite happy because I never had a Wasp t-shirt and I do think these ones are good. So if you are going to a show, they're made by Gildan. So I'm wearing an L here, which is about a sort of 42 to 44 inch chest, just in case you want to know. So yeah, that was it. So I'm not sure when I'll get to see Wasp again, and that was part of the reason for me going to this show, is because, I mean, look, we've lost so many legends there. We just lost Ozzy during the week there. So you just never know how long these guys are going to be about. So I think it's treasure them whilst they're here, because you know, you see them in this gig, this could be the last time that you see them, a bit like when Maiden played. So hopefully you've enjoyed my review video, and if you were at the gig, then let me know in the comments what you thought, what were the highlights from you, and do you agree with what I've said about it? And if you did enjoy the video, if you could give it a wee like and a thumbs up, as I'm nearing towards the 2,000 subscriber mark. I only need about 6 more people. Come on, guys. Okay, until the next time, have a great day. Cheers.